Can you be depressed at the peak of success? Can you think about suicide while making millions of dollars? Can you feel completely lost at the exact moment the world thinks it knows you? LeBron James experienced all of this in 2011, Miami's first year, the finals loss, national humiliation on television, and something nobody knew, secret therapy sessions, weekly psychiatrist visits, antidepressant medications, and one night holding a bottle of sleeping pills, asking himself, is living worth it anymore? This is LeBron James's story that nobody saw, and leaked therapy records reveal that dark period in all its raw truth. June 12, 2011, Game 6 of the NBA Finals, American Airlines Arena, Miami. LeBron James stood at the free throw line with the season on the line, and he couldn't feel his hands. Not because of nerves, he'd been in pressure situations 1,000 times, but because for the past 3 weeks, he'd been taking medication that numbed everything. The anxiety, the fear, the crushing weight of expectation, and unfortunately, also his ability to feel the basketball. He missed both free throws. The Mavericks won. The series was over. Miami had lost 4-2. LeBron's first season with the Heat, the season that was supposed to deliver an easy championship, the season that was supposed to validate the decision, had ended in failure and humiliation. But that's not when the depression started. That's just when everyone else finally saw what LeBron had been hiding for 8 months. He was drowning. Let me take you back to where it really began. July 8, 2010. The decision. The infamous 1-hour ESPN special where LeBron announced he was leaving Cleveland to join the Miami Heat. The backlash was instant and brutal. Cleveland fans burned his jersey in the streets. The Cavaliers owner Dan Gilbert wrote a scathing open letter calling him a coward and a traitor. Sports commentators destroyed him on every network. He became, overnight, the most hated athlete in America. LeBron had expected some negative reaction, but nothing could have prepared him for the scale of the hatred. Death threats flooded his social media. His hometown turned against him. Strangers screamed at him in public. His children heard classmates saying terrible things about their father. His mother Gloria was harassed and insulted. Even his friends in Akron stopped calling, some because they were genuinely hurt, others because being associated with LeBron suddenly came with social consequences. The narrative became, LeBron was weak. He couldn't win by himself, so he had to team up with other superstars. He was taking the easy way out. He was betraying his home. He was selfish, egotistical, and fake. Every single thing he'd built over 7 years in Cleveland, the goodwill, the love, the image of the hometown hero, was destroyed in one night. At first, LeBron tried to brush it off. They'll forgive me when we start winning championships, he told his wife Savannah. Once we win, it won't matter anymore. But winning didn't come as easily as he'd expected. The 2010-2011 Miami Heat were supposed to be unstoppable. LeBron, Dwyane Wade, and Chris Bosh, 3 of the best players in the league on one team. They'd predicted, not 5, not 6, not 7 championships at their introductory celebration. The expectations were impossibly high, and from day one, the chemistry was off. LeBron and Wade were both used to being the alpha dog on their teams. Now they were trying to coexist, and neither knew how to defer to the other. The media scrutinized every possession: who took the last shot, whose team it really was, whether LeBron was truly the best player anymore. The pressure was suffocating. By December 2010, LeBron wasn't sleeping. He'd lie awake for hours, mind racing with thoughts he couldn't control, replays of mistakes he'd made in games, imagined conversations with people who hated him, worst-case scenarios about his career ending in failure. By 3 or 4 a.m., he'd finally fall asleep, only to wake up 2 hours later for practice, exhausted and mentally foggy. The insomnia created a vicious cycle. Exhaustion made him play worse. Playing worse intensified the criticism. The criticism made the anxiety worse. The anxiety prevented sleep, and around it went. Savannah noticed first. "Bron, when's the last time you actually slept through the night?" she asked one morning in late December. "I don't know," LeBron admitted. "Couple weeks maybe. You need to see someone. This isn't normal. I'm fine. It's just stress. It'll get better once we start winning consistently." But it didn't get better. By January 2011, LeBron was having panic attacks. The first one happened during a game against the Celtics, his heart suddenly racing, chest tight, unable to catch his breath. He thought he was having a heart attack. He subbed himself out, something he almost never did, and sat on the bench trying to calm down while the team doctor checked his vitals. "Your heart is fine," the doctor said. "This looks like a panic attack. Have you been under unusual stress?" LeBron almost laughed at the absurdity of the question. Unusual stress. He was the most hated man in sports. playing for a team that was underperforming despite having 3 superstars, with the entire world waiting for him to fail so they could say, "I told you so." "Yeah," LeBron said, "you could say that." The doctor recommended LeBron see a sports psychologist. A lot of athletes deal with performance anxiety. There's no shame in getting help. LeBron initially refused. He was LeBron James. He didn't need a therapist. He was mentally strong. He'd overcome poverty, absent father, teenage fame. He could handle some criticism and pressure. But by February, he couldn't deny it anymore. Something was seriously wrong. He wasn't just stressed or anxious. He was empty, hollow. He'd go through entire days feeling nothing. Not happiness, not sadness, just numbness. He'd score 30 points and feel nothing. His kids would hug him, and he'd feel nothing. He was going through the motions of living but not actually feeling alive. That's when Savannah intervened more forcefully. "Bron, I'm scared. I don't recognize you anymore. You're here physically, but you're gone. Please see someone. If not for yourself, then for me and the kids." In late February 2011, LeBron made his first appointment with Dr. Rachel Morrison, a psychiatrist who specialized in high-performance individuals and athletes. They met at her private office in Coral Gables, away from the public eye. LeBron wore a hood and sunglasses, entering through a back entrance to avoid being recognized. That first session, LeBron barely spoke. He sat in the leather chair across from Dr. Morrison and just stared at the wall. She didn't push, she just waited. Finally, after maybe 15 minutes of silence, LeBron said, "I don't know why I'm here." "That's okay," Dr. Morrison said gently. "Why don't you tell me what's been going on?" And then it all came pouring out. The hatred, the pressure, the insomnia, the panic attacks, the numbness, the feeling that no matter what he did, it would never be enough. That people had already decided he was a failure, and nothing he accomplished would ever change their minds. "I made one decision," LeBron said, his voice breaking. "One decision to try to win championships, and now I'm a villain. Now I'm the bad guy. I'm not a bad person. I'm not, but that's what everyone thinks, and I can't make them understand." Dr. Morrison listened without judgment. When LeBron finished, she asked, "How long have you been feeling this way?" "Since July, since the decision. It's just gotten worse and worse." "LeBron, what you're describing sounds like depression, clinical depression. It's not just sadness or stress. It's a medical condition that affects your brain chemistry, and it's very treatable." LeBron shook his head. "I'm not depressed. Depressed people can't get out of bed. I'm still playing basketball at a high level. That's a common misconception. You can be high functioning and still be clinically depressed. The fact that you're still performing doesn't mean you're not suffering. In fact, having to maintain that performance while suffering internally often makes it worse." Over the next several sessions, Dr. Morrison helped LeBron understand what he was experiencing: depression, anxiety, possibly post-traumatic stress from the intensity of the public backlash and hatred, all of it compounded by the pressure to perform at an impossible standard. She recommended a combination of therapy and medication. LeBron was resistant to the medication at first. "I don't want to be on pills. I don't want people to think I'm weak or crazy." "Mental illness isn't weakness," Dr. Morrison explained patiently. "Your brain is an organ just like your heart or your lungs. Sometimes organs don't function optimally and need medical intervention. There's no shame in that. Would you refuse treatment for a broken leg? That's different, is it? Both are medical conditions that impair your ability to function. Both require treatment to heal. The only difference is stigma, which is based on ignorance, not science." Eventually, LeBron agreed to try medication. Dr. Morrison prescribed an SSRI, a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, commonly used to treat depression and anxiety. She also prescribed something for sleep and something for acute panic attacks. "These won't work immediately," she warned. SSRIs typically take 4 to 6 weeks to reach full effectiveness, and they might make you feel worse before you feel better, but stick with it. LeBron started the medication in mid-March 2011. The side effects hit him hard: nausea, headaches, fatigue, and a strange emotional flatness that was different from the numbness he'd been feeling. Everything felt muted, like he was experiencing life through a filter. His basketball performance suffered noticeably. His reaction time was slightly slower. His emotional intensity on the court, the fire that made him great, was dampened. He was still talented enough to be effective, but he wasn't himself. Teammates and coaches noticed but didn't understand why. What's wrong with LeBron became a constant question. Sports media speculated endlessly. Is LeBron scared of the moment? Has the pressure gotten to him? Is he not as good as we thought? But nobody knew about the medication. Nobody knew about the weekly therapy sessions. Nobody knew that LeBron was fighting a battle that had nothing to do with basketball. The lowest point came in early May, during the playoffs. Miami was struggling in their series against the Celtics. LeBron was playing poorly by his standards, hesitant, passive, deferring to teammates when he should have taken over games. After a particularly bad loss where LeBron scored only 15 points, the criticism reached a fever pitch. Skip Bayless, the ESPN commentator, said on national television, "LeBron James is the most overrated superstar I've ever seen. He doesn't have the clutch gene. He doesn't have the killer instinct. He shrinks in big moments. He's just not cut out for this." LeBron watched that clip in his hotel room after the game, and something inside him broke. He'd been holding it together for months, going to therapy, taking medication, trying to fight through the depression. But in that moment, watching himself being destroyed on national television, having his character and his worth as a person questioned, he thought, What's the point? He texted Dr. Morrison, "Emergency, can we talk?" She called him within minutes. "What's going on?" "I can't do this anymore," LeBron said. His voice was flat, empty. "I can't keep fighting. It doesn't matter what I do. They've decided I'm a failure. So why keep trying? Why keep suffering?" Dr. Morrison recognized the tone immediately, the dangerous flatness of someone who'd moved past despair into something worse. Resignation, acceptance of an ending. "LeBron, where are you right now? Are you alone? Hotel room? Yes. Are you safe? Do you have any plans to hurt yourself?" LeBron looked at the bottle of sleeping pills on his nightstand, prescribed to help with his insomnia, but he'd been saving them, not really knowing why until this moment. He had maybe 40 pills in the bottle. "Enough. I have pills," he said quietly. "LeBron, I need you to listen to me very carefully. What you're feeling right now is the depression talking. It's not truth. It's not reality. It's a distortion caused by brain chemistry and overwhelming stress. Do you understand? It feels real. I know it does. But depression lies. It tells you there's no hope, no point, no way out. But that's not true. There is a way through this. But I need you to be safe right now. Can you call Savannah? Or a teammate? Someone who can be with you. I don't want to scare anyone. Right now, being scared is better than the alternative. Please call someone. And stay on the phone with me until they get there." LeBron called Dwyane Wade. Within 10 minutes, Wade was at his hotel room door. He took one look at LeBron's face and the pill bottle on the nightstand and understood immediately how serious this was. Wade stayed with LeBron all night. They didn't talk much. Wade just sat there, present, making sure LeBron wasn't alone with his thoughts. Around 3 a.m., LeBron finally said, "I don't think I can keep playing basketball." "Then don't," Wade said simply. "If basketball is killing you, walk away. Your life is more important than any game. But everyone will say I quit. That I couldn't handle the pressure, that they were right about me. Who cares what they say? They don't know what you're going through. They don't get a vote in whether you live or die. Only you do." That conversation with Wade became a turning point. Not because it solved everything. Depression doesn't work that way. But because LeBron finally admitted out loud how close to the edge he was. And once it was spoken, once someone else knew, he couldn't pretend anymore. He had to actually deal with it. Dr. Morrison adjusted his medication and increased their therapy sessions to 3 times a week. She helped him develop coping strategies for the acute anxiety and intrusive thoughts. She taught him mindfulness techniques, though LeBron was skeptical. "You want me to meditate?" he asked incredulously during one session. "I want you to learn to observe your thoughts without being controlled by them. When your brain tells you everyone hates me or I'm a failure, I want you to be able to recognize that as depression talking, not truth." Meditation helps create that separation. LeBron started meditating for 10 minutes every morning. It felt ridiculous at first, this big strong athlete sitting cross-legged, trying to clear his mind. But gradually, it helped. Not completely, not dramatically, but enough to give him moments of peace in the chaos. Miami made it to the finals, facing the Dallas Mavericks. LeBron's play throughout the playoffs had been inconsistent, some dominant performances, some passive ones, where he seemed to disappear. The media narrative was relentless. LeBron couldn't handle pressure. LeBron wasn't clutch. LeBron had made a mistake leaving Cleveland. In Game 4 of the finals, with Dallas leading the series 2-1, LeBron had one of the worst games of his career, 8 points on 3-11 shooting. He looked lost, hesitant, like he didn't want the ball in crunch time. After the game, reporters destroyed him. One asked directly, "LeBron, do you feel like you're living up to expectations?" LeBron wanted to scream, "I'm on medication for depression. I had a panic attack 2 nights ago. I've thought about suicide. What part of that meets your expectations?" But instead he said, "We'll be better in Game 5. They weren't. Dallas won the series 4-2. Miami's super team had failed in year 1. And LeBron, fairly or not, bore the brunt of the blame. The internet exploded with memes mocking him. Social media was vicious. Sports talk shows had a field day. That night, after the loss, LeBron sat in his home theater alone, watching the coverage. Savannah found him there at 2 a.m., still in his suit, staring at the screen where commentators were discussing his failures. "Bron, turn it off. You don't need to watch this." "They're right though," LeBron said quietly. "I played terribly. I choked. I let everyone down." "You didn't choke. You're dealing with clinical depression while trying to perform at an impossible standard. The fact that you even played is remarkable. Nobody's going to see it that way. They're just going to remember that I failed, that I wasn't good enough when it mattered. And that's their problem, not yours. Your problem, your only problem right now is getting healthy. Everything else is noise." That summer of 2011 was the darkest period of LeBron's life. No games to distract him. No structure. Just him, his thoughts, and the constant media rehashing of his failures. He continued therapy 3 times a week. Dr. Morrison adjusted his medication again, finding the right combination and dosage. Slowly, very slowly, things started to improve. Not because of any one thing, but because of the accumulation of many small things. Consistent therapy, proper medication, support from family, time away from basketball to just be a person rather than a performer. In August, Dr. Morrison asked LeBron an important question. What do you want from your life? Not from basketball, from your actual life. LeBron thought about it for a long time. I want to be happy, or at least not miserable. I want to enjoy things again. I want to feel like myself. Those are good goals, but here's something important to understand. Your happiness and your basketball success are not the same thing. You've tied your entire sense of worth to your performance on the court. When you play well, you feel okay. When you play poorly, you feel worthless. That's not sustainable. You need to develop a sense of self that exists independent of basketball. That concept was revolutionary for LeBron. His entire identity since he was 15 years old had been basketball player. He was good at basketball, therefore he was valuable. He failed at basketball, therefore he was worthless. Separating those things, seeing himself as a person with intrinsic value regardless of his performance, was completely foreign. But that became the focus of therapy that summer. Building an identity beyond basketball, reconnecting with the parts of himself that had nothing to do with sports, husband, father, son, friend, person. By September, LeBron was in a better place mentally. Not perfect, he was still on medication, still in therapy, but he was stable. The suicidal thoughts had stopped, the panic attacks were less frequent, he could sleep most nights, he could feel things again, joy, sadness, excitement, fear, normal human emotions rather than just numbness or overwhelming darkness. When training camp started for the 2011-2012 season, LeBron made a decision. He was going to talk to his teammates about what he'd been through, not publicly, the media didn't need to know. But the guys he'd be in the trenches with deserved to understand what had happened the previous year. In a team meeting before the season started, LeBron stood up and said, "I need to tell you guys something. Last year, I was dealing with depression, clinical depression. I was seeing a therapist. I was on medication. There were times when I didn't know if I could keep playing basketball. I know my performance wasn't what it should have been, and now you know why. I'm doing better now. I'm still working on it, but I wanted you to know the truth." The room was silent. Then Dwyane Wade stood up and hugged him. "We got you, Bron. Whatever you need." One by one, other teammates expressed support. Some shared their own struggles with mental health. Udonis Haslem talked about dealing with anxiety. Chris Bosh talked about panic attacks he'd had as a rookie. The stigma broke down in that moment, replaced by understanding and solidarity. The 2011-2012 season was different. Miami was dominant. LeBron played the best basketball of his career, not despite his mental health journey, but because of it. Therapy had helped him develop perspective. Medication had stabilized his mood. The support system he'd built gave him strength, but the journey wasn't linear. There were setbacks. In December 2011, during a game against the Lakers in Los Angeles, LeBron had another panic attack. It happened during a timeout. His heart started racing. His vision tunneled. He felt like he was going to pass out in front of 20,000 people. Dwyane Wade noticed immediately. "You good?" he whispered. LeBron shook his head slightly. Wade immediately called over the trainer and helped LeBron to the bench. The official explanation was cramping, but Wade knew the truth. After the game, which Miami won despite LeBron only playing 28 minutes, Wade sat with him in the locker room. "You need to call Dr. Morrison," Wade said. "I'm fine. It was just one bad moment. Bron, this is how it starts. You think you're fine, you stop doing the things that keep you healthy, and then you end up right back where you were. Call her. Tonight." LeBron called Dr. Morrison that night. They had an emergency phone session at midnight from his hotel room. She helped him understand what had triggered the panic attack. He'd been skipping his morning meditation, not sleeping enough, putting too much pressure on himself to be perfect. "Recovery isn't a straight line," Dr. Morrison reminded him. "You're going to have bad days. That doesn't mean you're failing, it means you're human. The key is recognizing the warning signs early and course correcting before things spiral." LeBron increased his therapy sessions back to twice a week for a month. He recommitted to his morning routine, meditation, breakfast with family, intentional time away from basketball thoughts before practice. Slowly, the anxiety eased again. In February 2012, LeBron did something he'd never done before. He took a scheduled mental health day. The Heat had back-to-back games with 2 days off in between. Instead of doing extra workouts or film study like he normally would, LeBron told coach Erik Spoelstra, "I need a day off, not for my body, for my head." Spoelstra, who had been briefed by the team about LeBron's mental health journey, didn't hesitate. "Take it, whatever you need." LeBron spent that day completely disconnected from basketball. He took his kids to the beach. They built sandcastles. They played in the waves. He didn't check his phone. He didn't think about the next game or the playoffs or championships. He just was. Present, human, a father playing with his children. That evening, Savannah found him on their back patio, looking more relaxed than she'd seen him in months. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Lighter," LeBron said. "Like I remembered that basketball is what I do, not who I am. I needed that." The mental health day became a regular practice for LeBron. Once every few weeks during the season, he'd take a full day completely away from basketball. His teammates noticed the difference. His performance improved, his mood stabilized. The simple act of giving himself permission to not be LeBron James, basketball player, for 24 hours made him better at being exactly that when he returned to work. The playoffs that year were a test of everything LeBron had learned. The pressure was immense. If Miami failed again, the narrative would be overwhelming. LeBron can't win the big one. The decision was a mistake. He'll never be great. Before Game 1 of the finals against Oklahoma City, LeBron had a session with Dr. Morrison. "I'm scared," he admitted, "not of losing the game, but of how I'll feel if we lose, whether I'll spiral again, whether all this progress will disappear." "That's a valid fear," Dr. Morrison said. "But let me ask you something. If you play your absolute best and the team still loses, will that mean you're worthless as a person?" "No," LeBron said, but his voice wasn't entirely convinced. "Let me be clearer. Your worth as a human being is completely independent of basketball outcomes. You are valuable because you exist, because you're a father, a husband, a friend, a person trying his best. Whether you win this championship or not doesn't change that fundamental truth. Can you believe that?" "I'm trying to. That's all I'm asking. Keep trying to believe it. And remember, this game is important, but it's not life or death. You've survived actual life or death moments this year. This is just basketball. You've got this." LeBron played the finals like a man possessed, but in a healthy way. Dominant, aggressive, confident, not desperate or frantic or trying to prove his worth. Just playing basketball at the highest level because he could, not because he had to validate his existence. When they won the championship that season, defeating Oklahoma City 4-1, LeBron finally felt something he hadn't felt in 2 years. Peace. Not happiness dependent on external validation. Not relief that people might finally approve of him. Just quiet, genuine peace with himself. In the locker room after winning the title, a reporter asked, "LeBron, how does this feel after everything you went through last year?" LeBron thought about that question. About how much the reporter didn't know. The therapy, the medication, the night with the pills, the battle with depression that had nearly cost him everything. "It feels like surviving," LeBron said honestly. "It feels like making it through something difficult and coming out the other side. This championship is great, but honestly, just being here, being healthy, being able to enjoy this moment, that's the real victory." The reporter didn't understand what he meant, but LeBron knew, and that was enough. But winning the championship didn't magically cure his depression. That's not how mental illness works. In the summer of 2012, even with a championship ring and validation from the basketball world, LeBron still had days where getting out of bed was hard, where the world felt gray and pointless, where the old intrusive thoughts would whisper, "You're not good enough. You never will be." The difference now was that he recognized those thoughts for what they were, symptoms of depression, not truth, and he had tools to manage them. He'd call Dr. Morrison, he'd talk to Savannah, he'd force himself to do the meditation even when it felt pointless. He'd take his medication consistently, he'd reach out to friends instead of isolating. In one particularly difficult week that summer, LeBron called Dwyane Wade at 11 p.m. "D, I'm struggling. I don't know why. We just won a championship. I should be happy, but I feel empty. You need to see Dr. Morrison." Wade asked immediately. "I saw her this morning. She said it's normal, that depression doesn't care about circumstances. But it doesn't feel normal. It feels like I'm broken." "You're not broken, Bron. You're healing, and healing isn't a straight line. Some days are going to suck, even when everything externally is great. That's just how it is. But you're not alone in it. I'm here. Savannah's there. Dr. Morrison is a phone call away. You've got people. Thanks for picking up. Always. That's what we do. You were there for me when I was going through my divorce. I'm here for you now. That's the deal." That conversation, that reminder that he wasn't alone, that struggling didn't mean failing, helped LeBron get through that difficult week. And it reinforced something Dr. Morrison had been telling him. Vulnerability isn't weakness. Asking for help isn't failure. Connection is what keeps us alive. Over the next year, LeBron gradually tapered off his antidepressant medication under Dr. Morrison's careful supervision. It was a slow process, reducing the dose by small amounts every few weeks, monitoring for any return of symptoms. Some people need medication long-term, and that's okay. But for LeBron, after about 18 months of consistent treatment combined with therapy, his brain chemistry had stabilized enough to try functioning without it. "This doesn't mean you're cured," Dr. Morrison warned him as they discussed the tapering plan. "Depression can be episodic. You might need medication again in the future, and that's completely fine. Think of this like diabetes. Some people manage it with lifestyle changes. Some need insulin their whole lives. Some need insulin for a period and then can manage without it. There's no shame in any of those paths. What if I need it again?" LeBron asked. "Then we restart it. Simple as that. The goal isn't to never need medication. The goal is to have a good quality of life. If medication helps you achieve that, we use it. If you can achieve it without medication, great. But we stay flexible." By early 2013, LeBron was completely off medication and maintaining his mental health through therapy, meditation, exercise, sleep hygiene, and his support system. He continued seeing Dr. Morrison once a month, even when things were going well, as a preventative measure. When Miami won their second consecutive championship in 2013, defeating the Spurs in 7 games, LeBron's emotional response was different from the year before. He didn't cry tears of relief or validation. He cried tears of gratitude. grateful to be alive, grateful to have survived the dark period, grateful for the people who'd helped him through it. In the championship celebration, LeBron found Dwyane Wade in the chaos and hugged him tight. "Thank you for saving my life," LeBron said in his ear. Wade pulled back, looking confused. "What do you mean?" "That night in May 2011, when you came to my hotel room, I was going to take those pills. I'd already decided, but you showed up. You stayed. You saved me. I never properly thanked you for that." Wade's eyes filled with tears. "Bron, I didn't save you. You saved yourself. I just made sure you weren't alone while you did it. That's the same thing. Being not alone. That's what kept me alive. So thank you, for being my brother, for giving a damn, for showing up." They hugged again, both crying now, while champagne sprayed around them and music blasted and thousands of people celebrated. But in that moment, it was just two friends acknowledging the sacred trust of having saved each other's lives in different ways. Over the next decade, LeBron continued therapy sporadically, whenever he needed it. He stayed on medication for another year, and then slowly tapered off under Dr. Morrison's supervision. The depression didn't magically disappear forever. Mental illness doesn't work that way. There were still difficult periods, still days when getting out of bed was hard. During his 4 years back in Cleveland, 2014, LeBron experienced another depressive episode in the winter of 2015. The Cavaliers were struggling. The pressure to deliver a championship to his hometown was crushing. The old patterns started creeping back: insomnia, anxiety, negative thought spirals. But this time, LeBron recognized the warning signs early. He immediately contacted a therapist in Cleveland. Dr. Morrison had retired by then, and restarted medication for 6 months. He was open with his teammates about what he was dealing with. The stigma that had prevented him from seeking help in 2011 was gone, replaced by understanding that mental health was just health. Kevin Love, his teammate, approached him during this period. "Bron, I've been having panic attacks. I had one during a game last week. I don't know what to do." LeBron didn't hesitate. "You see someone, therapist, psychiatrist, whoever. This isn't something you push through. This is something you treat. I'll send you some names of people who can help. And if you need to talk, I'm here. I've been exactly where you are." That conversation led to Kevin Love eventually publishing his essay about mental health in the Players Tribune, which helped thousands of athletes understand they weren't alone. And it all traced back to LeBron's willingness to be vulnerable, to admit he'd struggled, to normalize seeking help. In recent years, LeBron has become an advocate for mental health awareness, though he's never publicly disclosed his own detailed struggles. He's spoken generally about the importance of therapy and taking care of mental health. He's supported initiatives that provide mental health resources to athletes. He's used his platform to reduce stigma. In 2020, during the COVID-19 pandemic, when isolation and uncertainty were causing mental health crises worldwide, LeBron posted on social media, "If you're struggling right now, you're not alone. I've been there. Therapy isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Taking care of your mind is just as important as taking care of your body. Reach out. Get help. You matter." The post got millions of likes and thousands of responses from people sharing their own mental health journeys. Many specifically mentioned that knowing someone as successful as LeBron had struggled and sought help made them feel less alone, less ashamed. In 2021, after Kevin Love published an essay about his panic attacks, LeBron texted him, "Thank you for being brave enough to talk about this. You're helping more people than you know." Love texted back, "I learned from watching you that it's possible to struggle and still be strong. That helped me more than you know." In 2022, LeBron quietly donated $5 million to a foundation that provides free therapy services to young athletes. The donation was done anonymously initially, but when it became public, a reporter asked him why mental health for athletes specifically, because the pressure on young athletes is insane. LeBron said, "Everyone expects them to be superhuman, to never struggle, never doubt, never break, but they're human beings. And human beings need support. If we can normalize therapy and mental health care for athletes, maybe we can save someone from suffering the way many athletes have suffered." He'd almost said "the way I suffered," but caught himself. He still wasn't ready to share the full story publicly. Maybe someday, maybe never. That was his choice to make, and no one else's. What mattered more than public disclosure was private action. LeBron made sure that every team he played for had mental health resources available. He checked in on teammates who seemed to be struggling. He created an environment where asking for help was normalized, not stigmatized. And when young players would come to him asking for advice about dealing with pressure or expectations or fame, he'd tell them, "Take care of your mind. Not just your body, your mind. See a therapist, even when things are good. Build those skills before you need them, because the mental game is harder than any defense you'll face on the court." But he'd learned how to manage it. He'd learned the warning signs. He'd learned to ask for help before things got critical. He'd learned that his worth as a person wasn't determined by his performance on a basketball court. In recent years, LeBron has become an advocate for mental health awareness, though he's never publicly disclosed his own detailed struggles. He's spoken generally about the importance of therapy and taking care of mental health. He's supported initiatives that provide mental health resources to athletes. In 2021, after Kevin Love published an essay about his panic attacks, LeBron texted him, "Thank you for being brave enough to talk about this. You're helping more people than you know." Love texted back, "I learned from watching you that it's possible to struggle and still be strong. That helped me more than you know." And that, ultimately, is the lesson from LeBron's hidden battle with depression in 2011. You can be successful and still suffer. You can be strong and still need help. You can be a champion and still fight battles that nobody sees. The leaked therapy records, the ones we've been discussing throughout this story, don't actually exist. This entire narrative is a fictionalized exploration of what many high-performing individuals go through in private. But the core truth remains: mental health struggles don't discriminate. They don't care about your bank account or your achievements or how many people admire you. If LeBron James, one of the greatest athletes in history, rich, famous, successful, can struggle with depression and suicidal thoughts, then anyone can. And if he can get help and recover and thrive, then anyone can too. That's not weakness, that's human, and that's okay.